Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Brand Builder Show. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about all things images for your Amazon listing, images, A+ content, all that good stuff. And to talk that through with me today, we've got Kamal from AMZ One Step. Kamal, welcome to the show today. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much, Ben, and I'm super excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have you here too. You guys are one of the names in the industry that just keeps getting mentioned when it comes to listing optimization, image work, and so we are excited to hear from you today and hear about how we as Amazon sellers can really optimize our listings. Before we do get into that sort of content today, the juicy stuff, why don't you give us a bit of a background on yourself, on AMZ One Step, and let us know kind of how that whole journey unfolded and what you guys are up to today.
Sure, yeah. So my name is Kamal, and a little bit about myself first. I moved to Canada in 2010. I'm originally from India, so I, finished my electronics engineering, and I was doing a telecom job at a big corporate company. So I started Amazon, as a retail arbitrage. I was flipping stuff from Walmart, and selling it on Amazon. I was doing wholesale at that time. So I was just like doing a lot of hustle in terms of retail arbitrage, online arbitrage. But at one point I was like, okay, no, you know what, I need to start my private label product, because I was hearing this fancy word, private label. So I launched my two products. They did not do that well, at first, and then my third product was really successful. It was making bit of money, and at the same time I started a meetup group in our city of Edmonton, and at meetup.com. So people were joining that group, and we were organizing like meetup every single month, and more sellers were joining, and the community started to grow. And then we expanded that meetup group to all over Canada. So we have meetup groups in like 6 cities of Canada, and from there, people were asking, hey Kamal, who gets your images done, who gets your PPC done, like who is your sourcing guy? So I was like, okay, at first I was recommending them to different freelancers, different companies. At one point I thought, if everyone is coming to me and asking for recommendations, I might as well have that done under my agency. Like I should open a new agency, and that's how AMZ One Step started. And now we're as you mentioned, one of the leading agencies when it comes to the image creations, A+ content, video, 3D rendering, listing optimization. So that's what our core competency is now, and obviously we do offer a little bit of other services, but creatives is what we are really good at.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And how has the agency building journey been? Because I know there'd be a lot of people listening that get, once they start selling on Amazon, they get hungry for that entrepreneurial life, and selling services, agency. It's one of those things that you think, well, I could do that alongside. It's selling on Amazon. Clearly, for you, it's not just a side hustle; it's a real, big endeavor. Has that journey been easy? Would you recommend it? Give us some, some info on that.
I think I would definitely recommend, if you're an Amazon seller and if you're looking to, because Amazon selling does not take a lot of time, even though, if you hire some VAs, if you have proper SOPs, if you're looking to expand to agency side, I would definitely recommend that. But the journey, how it's been for me, it's been, in the beginning, there were not a lot of, consistent sales, and, the consistent, marketing. So it took me like 3 years of bootstrapping. Like every time we would make some profits, we would invest it to something new, and it took 3 years. We were doing like pretty much everything, like SEO. We were doing like meetups. We were doing like social media, like blog posts and content marketing, YouTube channel, started podcast. We were pretty much doing everything in terms of marketing, like whatever way possible. But it still took us 3 years to get some traction. And if let's say if today I'm starting that agency, I would do maybe a little bit differently. I wouldn't have to go through what I went through. Like if you're starting an agency today, maybe go to conferences, meet different agency owners. It's more about partnerships now. You don't have to do it the hard way. Just be a good networker, meet with other people, give them clients, take some clients from them, and just help each other out. And that is the way to go, and that will get you, that will make you successful a lot more quicker, rather than just starting everything from SEO, like doing social media. So focus more on partnerships, go out on conferences, do more podcasts, do more content. I think that if I had to start today, that's what I would have done. So the journey has been incredible. So learned a lot of things hard way, but I'm glad I did. I see lots of agency owners, their agencies, they are successful, but there's only one pillar, which is the partnerships, which is good, but at the same time, if you could be omnipresent, that's even better, right? If you have a solid leads coming from SEO, like perfect. If you have a solid leads coming from social media, even better. Podcast, go to conferences, go out to a bunch of other like meetup groups and everywhere. Whatever is the possible way, be omnipresent, and you will start getting clients. And the most important, like whatever you do, be good at it. That's where the business is gonna grow, like word of mouth. At one point, 2 years, 3 years down the road, people will be like, the referral business, the repeat business is more crucial than marketing, because at one point, Amazon community is so small that at one point, you won't be like, okay, you won't be getting more leads. At that point, it's repeat and reoccurring business, which is going to keep your agency growing. So that's what my journey has been. And
Yeah. No, I think it's some great advice for any venture of entrepreneurialism. Partnerships are everything. They say it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I think, one good connection, one good relationship can change the future of a business. So I think, it's really interesting to hear you say that. And for anybody that's listening that wants to, get started with stuff like that, then partnerships would be your focus. That's real helpful. Awesome. Let's talk about Amazon listings, the topic of the day then, and images. Images are such an important part of an Amazon listing, even more so than they ever have been before. So we're going to just take some time to talk through main listing images and then A+ content, and if we get time, maybe some ad sort of stuff as well. Let's start with listing images, and from sort of the bird's eye view, give us your philosophy at AMZ One Step. What are you trying to achieve when a client comes to you and says, design us our 7 images, main image and sub images? What are you trying to achieve, communicate with those images?
Basically, when we have a new client coming in, so we first question that we ask, is it an existing listing or is it a brand new listing? If it's an existing listing, we take a look at we do kind of an audit, see what's working well for them and what's not working well. Like what's the existing conversion rate? What's the existing CTR? Like how much traffic are you getting? And based on that, we look at the competitors, and then the first step is always we always start with the main image, whether it's a new listing or if it's an existing listing. The goal of the main image is to get you some extra traffic. When people are searching for a keyword on Amazon, they're gonna see like 20 different listings, and if your main image stands out, that's when people click on your listing. If it's just blending in with others, they're not going to click on that. Then they're going to start comparing with the prices. So the job of the main image is to stand out, okay, and still be relevant enough that the people click on your listing. So that's the first thing. And it's on the creative side, let's say if you follow the 80-20 rule, focus more on the main image, because that is what is going to get you the 80% of the results. And it's not a lot of work. It's just one image, but the science and psychology behind that one image is a lot. For example, there's so many strategies. If your product comes with a gift box, right? So maybe we should show the gift box. If your product has front and back, maybe show both sides, right? So if your product is a hard surface or 3D rendering, then do 3D rendering. So there's so many different strategies that you can do to make your main image stand out. So focus more on the main image, because I have seen traffic, getting 2 times more or 3 times more just by changing the main image. And the most important thing is, do not just create one main image, create 2 or 3 at least, and do the split testing and choose a winner. Okay, so you may think as a brand owner, oh wow, this is what I was trying to show, and this image is perfect. It's high quality image, everything is good, but people they look at the main image totally different. So do the split testing, and always compare it with your competitors on the search page. Like, so is this going to stand out? Keep doing that always. So once the main image is done, that means your traffic is going to increase. Second step is creating some infographics and lifestyle. And why infographics are so important is because when mostly the people are shopping on their mobile apps, so they search for a keyword, your main image is good, they click on the listing, what is their next step? They start swiping right. They look
Yep.
at the image number 2, the image number 3. So you need to tell a story using infographics and lifestyle images. Okay, so when they start swiping right, they look at the images, then they're sold. That increases your conversion rate. And the next step is they scroll a little bit down and add to cart. That should be the ideal customer journey. If they are not convinced looking at the 7 pictures or 6 pictures, they're going to scroll all the way down, read bullet points, and they're going to get distracted by looking at the other sponsored products and frequently bought together. So that is not the ideal journey. So main image gets you click, your infographics tell a story, and then they click on add to cart. And there's other element to it, like which is the lifestyle images. So how do you create lifestyle images? You need to show some visual references. What do I mean by that? For example, I always give an example of if you're a seller and you're selling extra large delivery bag, food courier bag. So who is the buyer? So the buyer is a delivery driver who's maybe delivering for Uber Eats or DoorDash, right? So those are the guys who are buying that product. And if you're trying to highlight that your product is extra large in size, so you have two options. One option is you can just say, hey, this product is 30 inches wide and 24 inches tall, whatever the dimensions are. Humans are visual creatures. The numbers, it's not that easy to absorb. You have an option, you can show the dimensions, or you can do visual reference. What do I mean by that? You can show maybe this bag can carry 7 extra large pizzas and 2 bottles of 2-liter Coca-Cola, and it still carries a bunch of other food. So now the delivery driver is going to resonate with that image much more quickly. Wow, I can carry 7 extra large pizzas? Perfect, right? So the point is that it can carry extra food, not how much is, how tall or how wide that product is. So giving the visual references are the key, so the people connect with your images right away. Everyone's talking about like creating the emotional connection, creating that, adding that lifestyle touch. But in a reality, what works is the visual reference. So if you have a combination of all these 3 things, your listings should convert. And it also depends like how well your competitors are doing, and what's the unique selling point of your product. But overall, these are the basics. If you get it right, the listings should convert at least at 15% or more.
Yeah, that's really good. Some great thoughts in there that I'd like to just try and unpack a little bit. Your thoughts about the, telling the story of the product. Absolutely, 100% agree with that. And you're so right. If you haven't already won the sale by the time they start scrolling down, your chances of getting that sale decrease more and more and more because of, as you say, PPC from other sellers on your listing. It's really, really good thoughts, which we'll come back to. I do want to just dive in quickly to the main image, because as you say, main image is so important for click-through rate, which as we know on Amazon, if someone doesn't click through onto your listing, they can't buy your product. So that first click is so essential. With the main image, a couple of things I want to just discuss for a minute. Obviously, split testing, renders I want to get to, but first and foremost, you mentioned standing out, really attracting people's attention. How can the average seller selling the average product, not that we would recommend selling an average product, product research and standing out in the market is important, but just with that main image, how can someone stand out from their competition? What are the process they should go through?
Okay, that's a really good question. I'm glad that you have asked it, because standing out just by the main image is one of the most difficult things that you can do, because Amazon has so much strict guidelines. You cannot have graphics, you cannot have any logo, you cannot have any animation. It has to be a product picture on white background only. And what can you do to make your main image stand out when everyone has to follow such restricted, guidelines? So we have developed, 12 different strategies, to make your main image stand out. And maybe I'll go through maybe, a couple of them, which I really like. But if you can always go to amz1step.com/blog or search for main image optimization strategies on Google, and you'll find that blog. It's really, really good. I'll go over a few strategies. So first strategy which I have is, It's called a label it strategy. For example, if you search for protein powder on Amazon, and if your product comes with a label, right? So all the protein bottles or protein jars, they have a product label on it, right? So we had a seller, their listing was like really really basic, and no one was clicking on that. Like the CTR was 0.0 something percentage. So what we ended up doing, uh, we used a label it strategy. For example, if someone is searching for a protein powder, what exactly they're looking for? They're looking for how many grams of protein does that product have, or like what is the flavor. So we added though we photoshopped the label, we made it look like that it's part of the label, and when people were searching, they were like, oh, they would immediately see, oh, it's 25 gram of protein and it's unflavored, and they would click on that, right? When people would receive that product, then they are not going to see, they're not going to be mad, oh wow, unflavored is not that big, or 25-gram protein is not that big, even though it's a little bit small, but you're just, it's a clickbait. Okay, the main image is a clickbait. You're not going against Amazon's terms of service. Because you're making it look like a part of the product packaging, right? Another example is, Gorilla Grip. They are one of the successful Amazon sellers. They're every main image, they are using label it strategy. They have like three sizes of cutting boards, and and they would create a label, extra large cutting boards available in these colors. So they make the label look so much bigger,
Yeah, great
which
idea.
is technically a part of product packaging. Even though even if your product does not have any label or does not come in a product packaging, you can always create a label, just like Gorilla Grip. I know we're on a podcast, I can't really show you the image. Just go search for Gorilla Grip on Amazon.com. You will see how those guys are doing it. You can create a label for any product, right? And that's one strategy. Or the other thing that you can do is, you're always looking to improve your main image, because Amazon is a competitive marketplace. People would start, once you come up with a good main image, everyone else is just going to copy you. 2 months down the road, the whole page is going to look like, exactly the same. So if you want to succeed, if you want to stay on top, you have to follow a Kaizen strategy. We call it a Kaizen strategy. So that means you're continuously working on your main image. For example, we had a portable monitor, right? So the seller came here like, okay, let's work on the main image. So portable monitor image was perfect on white background. It was covering 85% of the main image, and everything was good. Okay, what can we do to make it better? Okay, it's a black in color, so let's do 3D rendering. Then the image, just from a regular image to 3D rendering, it was like 10 times better. It was so good. So image was improved, but 2 months down the road, can we improve it even more? Yes, 100%. Maybe we can add a wallpaper on the monitor, so now it stands out. Like it looks totally different. Now there's a green color big wallpaper, so you're standing out. And then 2 months down the road, everyone had a wallpaper. Then okay, what can we do now to improve the main image? Maybe we added a text on the wallpaper itself, which looks like it's part of the screen, so Amazon bots wouldn't catch it, because now you're showing product in use. It's not a graphic, it's you're showing something on the screen. So you add maybe 55-inch screen, Ultra HD, something like that, right? So you add some unique selling point. Okay, 2 months down the road, everyone is doing the exact same thing. Now, what can you do? So now, then you added animation, you added a gaming, thing. Like for example, you added a picture of Spider-Man coming out of the screen, give it a 3D look. So the point I'm trying to make is, if you're selling in a competitive category, if everyone is doing the exact same thing, you have to keep improving yourself. Otherwise, you won't stay at the top. Being number one is easy, as people say, but staying number one is difficult. That is the exactly what you have to do. You have to keep improving your main image. There's so many other things that you can do. For example, if your product is a boring white in color, it's transparent, maybe add some colorful thing in it. We were selling like liquid dispenser for makeup or something like that. We added, instead of adding water, add maybe a red color liquid, which makes your main image interesting, right? If we're selling supplements, maybe write something with the gummies that you're selling, right? There's for If your product packaging is giftable, show the product packaging. Do 3D rendering. Show front and back. I'll give you an example, Ben. I was in Lisbon. I was speaking at a conference, and there was a seller. He's like, "Hey, Kamal, I'm selling in clothing category, but how can I make my main image stand out? The model has to where everyone is showing the exact same thing, and the only thing different we can do is show a pose, different pose. How can I stand out?" I was like, "Okay, let's take a look at your product." And image number third, the dress, it was a female dress, and the back of the female dress was looking really interesting. I was like, "Oh, why can't we show front and back in the main image? No one else is doing that." He's like, "Wow, that's a good idea. Let's do that." So he changed the image, like he created the main image the same night. He edited that, and the next morning, next evening, he called me. He's like, "Hey, Kamal, I changed the main image, but the traffic went down." I was like, "Oh, okay, that. Okay, let's maybe go back to the main image." He's like, "No, but I have a good news as well. But the conversion went up, so I'm making more sales.
Mm.
So I'm making more sales and more profits." And I was like, "Oh wow, that's interesting because now your main image has filtered out the traffic. Only relevant people who are looking at the front and back both,
Yeah.
those are the only ones who are more interested are clicking, and you have a higher conversion rate. Before you were getting more clicks, but lots of them were like, they after maybe looking at the back of the dress, they were not buying it, but just showing it on the main image, your traffic is so much, I would say warmer traffic, and
Yeah.
they would more likely to buy it.
Yeah.
And by increasing the conversion rate means you're going to get better ranking and everything. So that was in these are few strategies I have shared, but you can
Yeah.
always go to our website and learn more about 12 other strategies for
Yeah.
main.
If that's just two of them, and there's another 10, there's lots of value to be had there. So we'll make sure we link that in the show notes below, because that's super super valuable. It's a great strategy for using the actual product, because as we all know, we're only supposed to put the main image in, or the product in the main image. And so if you can get creative with what is on the product, technically still part of the product, that's some great strategy there. And I always say that you should actually look at search results for your main search term in the product research phase, because then if you can do something in product creation stage that helps your product stand out, like choose your coloring, choose your packaging, this is really, don't wait until after your product is fully made before you decide on the main image. Go there first and help that create the product itself.
I would like to add something to it, Ben. Go search on Amazon for RX bar, breakfast bars.
Mm.
Check out their product packaging. It says, I think, two cashews, you know, two almonds, two dates, and it just and no bullshit, right? So it's the packaging is just so good. So so yeah, that's a great point, Ben. I think when you're at the product packaging stage, design in such a way that it wins you a click on
Mm.
Amazon,
Yeah.
right? If Amazon is your primary business, so everything needs to be purposely done. So if you have not done it, maybe if you want to rebrand yourself, do it in such a way that it can win you a click on Amazon, because once you win a click on Amazon, the battle is already half won.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. Great thoughts. Great thoughts. Just before we move on to the other images, then rendering. When do you recommend getting a render done? Is it product specific, budget specific? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, so it's a broad topic, 3D rendering. So I'll try to cover it in a short time. So it's always a product based, depending on what type of product you're selling. In general, if your product is, let's say, a glass product or highly reflective product, if it's a metal, if it's a hard surface product, you should go for 3D rendering, okay? Or especially if it's white in color or black in color, because white reflects a lot and black absorbs the light a lot. So getting the perfect pictures is little bit difficult on those colors. Those are some of the scenarios that you should get your product rendered. And in other scenarios, if your competitors are doing 3D rendering, you should do that as well, because with photography, it's going to be really difficult for you to stand out when other people have, images created virtually. So these are some of the scenarios that you should be doing the 3D rendering for. And uh, let's say if you're selling some complicated products, for example, we had a product which was a greenhouse window opener, and it was automatic, right? So it's really difficult to create a lifestyle image going out to greenhouse and at the roof of greenhouse and then putting your product and take a lifestyle picture. It's a lot of work and it's really, really expensive for you to create the picture. You can render the entire 3D environment. I'll give you another example. We had a brand, they were selling hand dryers, and that was made for like airports. So it's, and at the COVID time, like it's not possible to get permission and go to the airport, install a dryer there and take a picture. Might as well get the 3D rendering done. Another example, there was a plumbing equipment for a multi, for skyscraper, and the product goes in the basement. No one is going to allow you to play with their plumbing, just to take some pictures. Those are some of the scenarios you could create 3D rendering for the lifestyle environments, but 99% of the time it's mainly the product rendering only. So as I mentioned, hard surface reflective products, go for 3D rendering, because otherwise you're going to see some reflection on the product. In some cases you would even see the cameraman reflection, or you would see the tripod, you would see the lights, you would see the window, and those images, they don't look good. In those scenarios, 3D rendering is your best option.
Yeah, good, great, thank you for that. When it comes to the additional images, so after the main image, you said about telling the story, converting the browser into a buyer. Lifestyle images are key, you mentioned, for that. Would you generally, if you were doing all of the images for a client, image 2 through 7, would you do just all of them showing the user using the product, or is there some text involved? What are your kind of standards that you set for creating these images in a way that's going to convert?
I think it's more about, when you do the research. This is what we do. We always recommend 2 to 3 lifestyle images, not more than 3. Ideally 2 is better, and more infographics is better. But every product is different, as I mentioned. So when you're doing the market research or competitors research, you read all the positive reviews, read all the negative reviews, and commonly asked questions on your listing as well as the competitors listing. See what are some of the top talking points, that everyone's talking about. Hey, this product is really fragile. Or if everyone is talking about the durability, do the second image which tells the durability factor, right? And followed by, what are some of the pain points of the buyers. And the lifestyle images, they should be your ideally 5th or 6th image or 7th image. So second, third, fourth should be infographics, but the features and benefits that you're trying to cover, think about it. Like, for example, if it's a durability, as I mentioned, should you show that feature in an infographic or lifestyle? That is a better question, but it's the feature which is going on the second image, right? So let's say, I'll give an example. So let's say we had a product which was disposable cutlery. So it's made for events and everything. So the problem with the disposable cutlery is when you're eating hard foods, it breaks, and the durability is important, right? So how can you show that feature in the best way possible? Either you can just say, hey, it is made from XYZ material so that it doesn't break, right? Or you can just say that it's durable. So again, as I mentioned, go with the visual reference. Show the bend test. Try to bend it and take a picture there. Hey, I'm doing a bend test and it doesn't break. Now, that image is much more powerful. If it's a lifestyle image or if it's an infographic, think of like, how can I explain this feature the best way possible? Do that. If it's a lifestyle, make your second image lifestyle. If infographics is the best way to tell that feature, then do infographics. So it's all about, what are some of the pain points that people are talking about in reviews and everything. And let's say if it's a brand new product and you don't have a lot of information, what you can do a PicFu heat map poll. So that way, it would tell you, or you can also use like Helium 10's audience. So it would tell you like where people are scrolling and where the mouse and the cursor is going the most. So that means those are some interesting points that where people want to see. So you can schedule your sequence based on the heat map.
Mm.
here. So these are some of the options that you can design.
Yeah. Yeah, that was going to be my next question for you in terms of the order of the images. Is it a case of just finding the biggest pain point that your product solves and putting that in that order, or do you have a bit more of a scientific answer to the order?
I think it's mainly the main pain points. That's what the pain points, or like mainly the talking points. Like for example, if something, you would find some products where every product has a 5-star review.
Mm-hmm.
Like that means people are really enjoying something which they're talking about. So
Yeah.
that could be your second image. It doesn't really have to be the pain point. It has to be the main talking point in the buyers
Yeah.
community. So
Yeah.
that should be your second image, and followed by third and fourth. So
Yeah.
ideally, the most it should be the main image is clickbaity. It has to be a thumbnail. Second image is should be the most important, followed by the second most important, and fourth image should be the third most important, and just followed by that sequence. Uh, don't make the most important image as your number sixth image, and always keep changing that. You may think, okay, this is perfect, or we may think it's perfect, but you would never really find out until you do split testing. Try moving your sixth image to second image, see if that helps in conversion. If the conversion drops, maybe change the sequence back. So these are small little experiments that you can do, especially when you have like thousands of traffic on your listing.
Yeah, that's really good. I love the thought as well, by the way, of the bending the cutlery. Pictures tell. They say, don't they? A picture tells 1,000 words, and I think that speaks volumes. And that's what we've got to try and figure out: is how do we visually communicate what it would take a paragraph to say. You can say it in one image, and people instantly get it. Then that's a real asset for your brand. Good. Moving on to A+ content then. Obviously, if someone does scroll past and doesn't yet add to cart, A+ content is another opportunity to really sell the benefits of the brand and the product. How are you approaching A+ content differently to the rest of the listing? Is it just a continuation of more of the same, or do you have a different approach to what you put into A+ content?
Yeah, it's so first and foremost, what if you have A+ content, according to Amazon, your listing should convert 10 to 15% more, and it also gives you an extra real estate on the product display page, and you have access to add some alt keywords on each module. So you can do maximum of 7 modules on A+ content and add 100 characters of alt keywords to each module. So now your listing will be indexed on like 700 extra characters, which is a huge win. You should do that. And in terms of like how we should design it, it really depends. Like if some products they have so much to talk about, so then we show the most important things in the images and the least important in the A+ content. For example, you're selling a pack of 10 different products. Like it's a bundle which has 10 different products. It's not possible to show 10 different products in 6 images. So that's where the A+ content is really important. You can show the other product other product features or benefits. Or the other thing that you can do, if your product does not have that many product, if you have already covered that in the A+ content and sorry, if you have already covered the features in the listing images, then the A+ content can just be your company's story, like your brand story. You can you can tell how the company started, or you can just talk like what's the motive, or like what's the vision of your company, and just reiterate the same things over again. So these are some of the scenarios that you can do. But the other thing that you can do, there's always features and benefits. Talk about the benefits in your images and the features in the A+ content. So it's the same feature that has a benefit. Talk about the benefit in the images, and this is also one strategy that you can do. And basically the goal from the A+ content is to, when people are searching for something, they click on the listing, they click on reviews, they want to read the reviews, and when they click on reviews, they go all the way down to the bottom of the page. So after reading the reviews, when they scroll up, A plus content is an opportunity for you to re-engage with the buyers, because otherwise they're gonna see sponsored ads and frequently bought customer who viewed this also viewed this, like so much distraction. So A plus content is an opportunity for you to get re-engaged with the buyers. So there's no specific strategy what you should do. Like for example, if you're covering your benefits, in the images, go with the features, or you can talk about the additional things that you haven't talked about in the images. But the key here is to use that real estate and add all those alt text, and you're already winning if you do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you have any specific modules that you go to for A plus content that you always use? Do you use the comparison tables much, or anything specific like that, or is it just a case by case scenario?
Yeah, if the storefront has products that needs that we can compare and drive traffic to other listings, it's highly recommended to use to backlink your other products, but do it only if it makes sense. If it does not make sense, do not use the comparison chart. And there is no set template for you to do the A plus content. What we like to do, we have nailed down a really good process which makes your A plus content look really, really premium. What we do is, and that you can also do that. So create your A plus content like one image, like a website. Okay, so your dimensions are 970 by 600. So stack all of them together, pretend that this is just one image, and make it a white background, and then add graphics to it, so people won't be able to tell if it's just one image or if it's like 6 different modules. So blend them so together, blend them in such a way that it just looks like a one image. And then there's so many designing strategies. It's more about being creative, because if you're stiff on Amazon modules, then the creativity is not there. Then you either use like left side standard image, or right side standard image, or a company logo or a comparison chart. The creativity is not there. But when you're designing it like one image, and then you cut them at 970 by 600, it just looks so much better. You can design it in a S shape, you can design it in like however the way you want. Like then it's the designer's magic. Then the modules, they are out of the equation, right? So that's one. It looks like a premium A plus content. So that's what we do. But yeah, I have seen listings doing well with lots of content and using standard modules as well. But now we have shifted towards the new strategy where we blend every module together and make it look like one.
Yeah, I've seen that on. There's a brand here in the UK where I am called Nutravita. It's a supplement brand, and they do that. It looks like one flowing image, and it looks sensational. And so yeah, we've tried that on a few products, and it does work well. Obviously, then you lose the extra text if you wanted to. If it's a product with lots of potential keywords, then that's valuable space that you're potentially losing there. But yeah, really, really good looking layouts when you use all images together.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, so in order to cover up for those lost keywords, you can always use the alt text, and then maybe add some more keywords in the backend search term. So yeah, but yeah, so that's a good point. If that is your strategy, to get indexed on as many keywords as possible, maybe have one module at the bottom where you can put all those keywords in, right?
Yeah, that's a good idea. And a lot of products as well, you can cover it pretty comprehensively in your title, bullet points, etc. So yeah, it's not always needed, but yeah, no, that's really good, really good. Is there anything that I haven't asked you about images that I should have done, or anything extra you feel would be worth sharing before we finish?
I think no, it's pretty much we have covered everything. So main images, 3D renders. The other tip could be, if you're doing pictures with the models, do a video at the same time. That's going to save you some money. And always inquire about, hey, is 3D rendering is a good option for my product? Ask these questions to any freelancer or agency that you're working with, so that way, it's a good testing, it's a good interview question if they understand Amazon or not.
Yeah, great show, great show. Speaking of agencies, tell us, Kamal, how can people find more out about what you guys do? Where's the best place to get in touch?
So yeah, you can find us on like pretty much every social media channel. It's AMZ One Step, or you can send us an email at info@amz1step.com, or just go to our website www.amz or zonestep.com.
Yeah. I'm English, so I say Z, but
Yeah,
in America they say Z. So
yeah,
there you
I
go.
like
Either
Z.
one
Yeah,
works. Either one works. Good stuff. I feel like this has been an absolute clinic in images. So many great thoughts here, and as you said, really just scratching the surface with this. So we'll leave the links to the things you've mentioned below, and encourage everyone listening to check those out for more content. Kamal, thank you so much for coming on and sharing on the show. So much wisdom there. We really appreciate it.
thank you so much, Ben. It was pleasure being here.
Awesome. Well, guys, check out all that stuff. So much good content there. And if you do need help with your images, any Amazon listing optimization, always hear great things about AMZ One Step. So check all of that info down in the show notes and the description. And we'll see you in the next episode next week.